take a look at Ruth again. Um, Remember that as we look at Ruth, we start in Proverbs chapter 31. Let me share my screen with you, and we will take a look. Here's the screen. So in the wife of noble character, her husband has confidence in her. We talked about building trust the last time. Look at verses 13 and 14. She selects wool and flax and works with her eager hands. She's like the merchant ships bringing her food from afar. Then later in 21 and 22, when it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed. She's clothed in fine linen and purple. The idea here is that the wife of noble character is a hard worker. She's not afraid to get her hands dirty. So let's go back to the book of Ruth, and we'll see here how Ruth exemplifies this characteristic of being a hard worker. We start again, and now we're in Ruth chapter 2. Naomi had a relative on her husband's side, someone from the clan of Elimelech. He is a man of standing. Literally, he is a noble man. So we jump from the noble woman to the noble man. Same word again. This seems to be what the author of Ruth is trying to convey to us. The wife of noble character finds a man of noble character. Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, "Let me go to the fields, pick up the leftover grain behind anyone whose eyes I find favor." Ruth knew enough about Jewish law that she knew Leviticus, excuse me here, it's Leviticus 19, 9 and 10. Look at these verses from the book of the law. When you reap the harvest of your land, don't reap to the very edges of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Don't go over your vineyard a second time or pick up the grapes that have fallen. Leave them for the poor and the foreigner. I am the Lord your God. This law is what Ruth relies on. In fact, she asks later in verse 7, "Please let me glean." These are the gleanings of the field. It's not the harvest. The harvest is the workers going in and gathering most of what's there. But what Ruth does is called gleaning. You see it here in 6, again in verse 8. Ruth's gleanings are to pick up the leftover, the things that have fallen. But when Boaz sees Ruth doing this, he goes to Ruth. He says, "My daughter, listen to me. Don't go and glean in another field. Don't go away from here. Stay here with the women who work for me. Watch the field where the men are harvesting. Follow along after the woman. I've told the men not to lay a hand on you. Whenever you're thirsty, go and get a drink from the water jars that the men have filled." In fact, later, Boaz, verse 14, at mealtime, Boaz said to her, come over here, have some bread, dip it in the wine vinegar. And then she sat down with the harvesters, and he offered her roasted grain. She ate all she wanted, and she even had some left over. Finally, verse 15, as she got up to glean, Boaz gave orders to his men, let her gather among the sheaves. Now she's not only gleaning, she's actually gathering barley. At the end of the day, verse 17, Ruth gleaned in the field until evening. Then she threshed the barley she gathered. It amounted to about an ephah. We don't know exactly what an ephah is. It was apparently like a bushel basket. It was what they would gather their grain into. If you follow this note, you'll see that it's 30 pounds. I've seen some estimates as much as 65 pounds. It was a lot of food. She had gathered enough, not only for that day, but for a week or more of food. We started in Proverbs 31. We see that the noble wife is a hard worker. Ruth is a hard worker. She has gathered so much grain. She recognizes that Boaz is being merciful to her. Boaz, when he talks to her, talks about her hard work. Verse 11, in verse 10, she asks Boaz, why have I found such favor in your eyes that you notice me, a foreigner? And Boaz responds, I've been told about what you've done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, how you left your father and mother in your homeland. You came to live with the people that you didn't know before. May the Lord repay you for what you have done. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. We see something interesting here if we look at verse 12 and we look at it in all English translations, the way King James, the Lord recompense thy work. American Standard talks about her work. The Contemporary English, the Lord reward you for your deed. It's very clearly referring to her hard work on behalf of Naomi. Naomi is, for whatever reason, probably aged, not able to go to the fields herself. So Ruth does. Ruth comes to the field and works hard there. Yeah, New American Standard, may the Lord reward your work. Here's the bottom line. What Ruth had done on behalf of Naomi was not easy to do. She worked in the field all day long, went back, worked many other days, gleaned barley. Boaz saw her, appreciated what she had done, and Boaz favors her. What does that mean for us today? What it means for us, friendship also requires hard work. Now, there is some work involved simply in maintaining the friendship. Friendship requires a connection. It requires an investment of time. It requires showing up. Your friend has a special event, maybe a recital, or maybe their child or they themselves are involved in some kind of activity. Show up, be there. Work hard at letting them know that you are connected to them. There's also an aspect in which work projects that you do together can consolidate, can grow that friendship. Go volunteer in a Habitat for Humanity site together. Do something where you're together working on behalf of other people. That can increase and strengthen the friendship that you have. But ultimately, what Ruth did for Naomi, Ruth provided what Naomi needed. At that point in time, Naomi needed food. So Ruth did what she could to provide food for Naomi. What does your friend need? The world that we live in today and the culture that we live in, your friend might not need food, or maybe your friend does. Maybe they've been ill, maybe they've been traveling. Take them a meal, give them a gift card. But as often as not, what your friend needs is a listening ear. What your friend needs is a sounding board. Hey, I've been thinking about this. What do you think? What your friend needs is a word of encouragement. What your friend needs is accountability. Any of these things, all of these things, you can provide for your friend. Like Ruth, be engaged in the hard work of friendship.